Thank you for coming. It's very important the media helps get the message out everywhere we go around the state. And we know that a lot of people in this area in particularly still do not have power, and particularly down in Sargent. So some of these people won't see the message or hear the message. So those of you who are able to communicate with your family or friends, if they have cell service or in any way, you can text them or call them to share the message that we're going to talk about here a little bit. Because at this time, when you don't have power, when it's pitch black at night, when it's hot as Hades during the day, you don't have access to food that you normally had. It's a miserable situation. And you need to know that we care about that, we're working on that, and there is hope to move through this as quickly as we can. The reason I'm here, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, I'm acting governor last week and this week as the governor is out of the country on a pre-planned economic mission. The reason I'm here is I told this great group of people around me, many that I've just met for the first time today, on your emergency team, your mayors, your sheriff, constables, justice of the peace, you name it, they're all here and they're really focused on you, is I want you to know in Matagorda County that you're just as important as anyone in Harris County that has 5 million people or anywhere else. Yes, you're a little ways away, but you're just as important, and we're not only not going to forget you, we're going to go out of our way to make sure we can do everything we can to provide what you need based on what the county judge and the emergency manager and others around the table that we talked to have asked for. And they've asked for a lot because there are a lot of issues. Debris, trees that you can't move, more food besides ready-to-eat meals, ice and water, setting up cooling stations. We are going to be on all of that, as well as sending you manpower so that you have security and people in Sargent have security. We're going to do everything we can to check every box they ask us to check. So that's what I'm here for as your acting governor, to make sure you know you're as important to us as anyone in the state of Texas. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the county judge next. Then I'll go to Nim Kidd, our emergency manager, and Senator Joan Huffman, who is here, and anyone in the back who would like to speak. I will try and do these short press conferences if we can, because you all have to go to work, and you're standing back there. So we're going to do it as efficiently as we can. Judge?
Thank you, Governor. Senator Huffman, Chief Kidd, thank you for being here in Matagorda County right now. We appreciate you all so much. The team that's standing behind me, we couldn't do what we do out of the Emergency Operations Center in Matagorda County without these folks behind me. And I've said at some of our other briefings that if I had to spend 4 days cooped up in one room with a bunch of folks, I'm glad it's the people that are standing here behind us. We also have a lot of private sector partners and industries here in the room that we appreciate as well that have been helping us out. Matagorda County has taken we've taken a hard blow. And Chief Kidd, we appreciate your personnel, your services so much here in Matagorda County. We thank you for everything that you've done, that you continue to do, and that you'll do for us as we venture into these next few days and weeks. So I want to thank the media for being here as well, because with some ongoing communication issues, y'all are our conduit on getting vital information out to our residents here in Matagorda County. So we appreciate you doing that. So grateful to Senator Huffman's office and Representative Morrison's office as well for being ready assets and valuable resources for us as well. So other than that, Governor?
Judge, I think it would be good to get this information out that you're able to share about where we are on restoring power at this point, because it looks like things are moving forward in some areas, and in other areas it's going to be slow to bring back that were really hit.
There was an 8 a.m. briefing this morning in the Emergency Operations Center here for Matagorda County. We did hear updates from AEP, And they're moving along. They expect to have all of their Matagorda County clients back online by 5 o'clock tomorrow. And I believe right now they're only needing to get about 5,000 more customers up and running. So out of a total of about 18,000 households they were servicing, they're down to about the last 5,000 to get hooked up. So we also did hear from Jackson Electric Cooperative this morning as well. They service some of our hardest hit areas here in the county. That'd be the Sargent, Texas area. My understanding is they've got a total of about, I think about 15,000 units online. They've got about 7,000 of those, I believe, back up down 457, include Van Vleck. Van Vleck is powered up, as I understand, and then back to Cedar Lane is powered up. And then that area from Cedar Lane down to the coast, down to Sargent, they have 4,000 units down there. They expect to have 1,500 of those powered back up by the end of this week. And it's that remaining 2,500 households in the Sargent area that may take up to another 2 weeks. Some of those homes and properties, if not completely destroyed, are going to be badly damaged, and they have a lot of poles that they need to replace in that area. So the closer to the coast, of course, the heavier the damage and the more flooding there was. So that's where we're at right now. So things are moving along.
Thank you, Judge. Nim Kidd is our chief of our emergency management operation for Texas, and this is a three-tiered, really a four-tier system that we have. Starts at the state, local, counties, and cities. The third are actually all the folks who have been impacted by the storm, because we need your cooperation too in so many things. We want you to stay safe. That's our number one issue. We don't want anyone dying from carbon monoxide poisoning in their homes. We don't want anyone driving into high water. We want you to be safe. That's our number one mission. So it's three of us, you, your local elected officials, and civil servants who work for you, and then the state level to be there for everything you need that you don't have and can't do. Like, the sheriff told us he needs more manpower. We're going to send state troopers. Amanda said a lot of heavy trees that you can't lift, and we're going to focus on that. I think she said about 100 trees maybe in the area that you all just don't have the capability of doing, and that will take some time, but we're on all of it. And so we then turn to our fourth partner, and that's the federal partners with FEMA, and Tony is here from FEMA. We've worked with Tony many times. Tony, where are you? Behind me. Behind, okay. Right there, thank you. And we go to them for help as well, and also help to reimburse the expenses of cities and counties and the state, because it will be a significant amount of money spent, and we appreciate their help later on when they start paying their invoices and help our cities and counties. With that, let me turn it over to Nim Kidd. Nim, if you want to go through your list and whatever you'd like to talk about.
Thank you, Governor. And I want to start by expressing my gratitude to the judge and the elected officials here, your contact before, during, and now after the storm. Thank you for the support for that. I also want to thank our local responders, those paid and especially those volunteers who have been out there serving this community while their own homes and families and businesses have been impacted. Power is our number one goal to have restored as soon as possible. We also, as Governor Patrick said, we want to be very cautious of carbon monoxide poisoning. If you're running a generator inside your house, inside your garage, or right near a window where that carbon monoxide can come in, please stop. Please don't do that. Make sure we don't need any carbon monoxide deaths. Those are preventable deaths. As we work to address the heat-related issues, we will be making sure that the facilities that the cities and the counties identify have food and water and ice and safe sheltering locations. We're working with the debris management plans. Your jurisdictions have a debris management plan. We'll be bringing in additional SAW crews to support that. As communication, telephone, and internet comes back up, I need the citizens to report their damages to us. The website to do that is written right over here. It's damage.tdem.texas.gov. You will go to what's called the ISTAT tool. That's the Individual Assistance, State of Texas Assistance tool. I need you to put your information about your home, where that, the amount of damage that you had, whether it was insured or not, and what your other needs are. That will help us convince FEMA to turn on individual assistance for money that will flow to the families. And finally, Governor, I want to thank our TDEM team, and I do want to thank Tony Robinson, the FEMA Region 6 Regional Administrator. He is out traveling with us today to get an assessment of what they need to do to help support us so we can support our citizens.
Senator Huffman, who is our chairperson of finance, the most important position in the legislature, quite frankly, in the Senate. So thank you for coming down. Also, I know you drove down and made your way down here.
Yes, I did. I'm glad to be here today, and I'm very honored to represent Matagorda County in the Senate. And of course, as I saw the storm approaching, I was terrified and heartbroken for what I knew was going to happen. But I think we can thank our elected officials for, doing what needed to be done to prepare the citizens, to give them good warnings, and now to work through the issues that have arisen because of the storm. And I want to thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and Chief Kidd for prioritizing Matagorda County and coming down here personally. I know it means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to all these elected officials behind me, and I know it means a lot to my constituents. So thanks to the elected officials for all the work you're putting in. And our message really is we're going to be here till the end. You've made that clear to the elected officials in the back, and I want to reiterate that publicly, that this is a process. We'll work together with our partners, elected officials, the state, and the federal government to reach a conclusion eventually. It takes time, but we'll all be here together and get this problem solved. So thanks for having me here today. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We had planned for the local media. My hope was, we came down here by a Black Hawk helicopter today. My hope was to land over in Sargent and actually go through the neighborhoods and greet some people and let them know they're not forgotten. But the weather is going to prevent that. We just heard. Plus, there's not a lot of places to land that we wouldn't get covered in mud over there, and we don't want to get the helicopter stopped. But I want the people in Sargent, I know they can't watch and can't hear, but the messages that go through that was our plan, because Matagorda County was the hardest hit of the 121 counties in the disaster declaration that I put out last week, and Sargent was the hardest hit of that part of the county. So those people are facing some hard times, and we're going to do everything we can to help them as quickly as we can. We'll open up. First of all, is there anyone else who would like to speak up and say anything from the back? Anyone? Feel free. Any mayors? Anyone? Let me just say this, that I want the citizens of Matagorda County to remember, these are just your neighbors. These are people just like you. And they've been in the emergency center every day. Probably many of them don't have power either, and they have trees in their yards. And I heard the mayor of Bay City say he was out all day cutting down, getting the debris out of his yard. I know, Mayor, when your constituents say, well, wait a minute, your tree's down, I know you want to clean that up and take care of that. So these are just regular people back here. That's all elected officials are, regular people who ran for office, or civil servants who didn't even get elected. They just said, I'm here to volunteer and do what I can. So these are great people behind you. You're in good hands. We'll open up for a few quick questions. All right.
We were just discussing it. Did someone want to? Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
The entire county can now start separating their debris into the proper categories: vegetation, C&D, white goods, household trash, and our contractors will start tomorrow is the plan. So if you put it by the side of the road, and just make sure you're not blocking the roadway. So that's for the entire county. Both cities and the entire county. We'll start picking it up as soon as we can.
And I would like to add, it is very important that you separate those 4 categories, just like she mentioned. Your vegetative debris needs to be separated from your construction or demolition, and your roofing material, fencing material, awnings or carport material. That needs to be separated from your white goods, which are refrigerators, washers, dryers, any of those appliances, and then your regular trash. If you put them all in one pile, they may not get picked up, and it costs a lot more money and a lot more time to get them picked up. But if you can separate them from the beginning, it makes the process much faster.
And we're going to be working with the county on some other ideas they had in their burn areas, and so we're working through that with the county as well to help with the vegetation. Any other questions before we exit? Yes, sir.
I have a full question from KHOU in Houston.
Yes, sir.
Do you know which hospitals are sending patients to NRG?
I'll let Nim answer that. When we were in Houston yesterday, we were informed that the hospitals were backed up because they weren't able to discharge many patients to homes that didn't have power. So that backed up the whole system. In fact, we had a police officer who was shot in the leg, and when the mayor went down to see him the next day, he still didn't have a room. That's how urgent it was. So Nim immediately issued an order for 25 ambulances to go down and help, and we are setting up an NRG hospital that will eventually get to 250 beds. I personally can't give you the specific hospitals, but it's pretty much all the hospitals, or many of the hospitals. I want to say all, many of the hospitals in Houston.
Yep. So that's a very good question, and Governor Patrick explained that very well. The City of Houston told us they had an ambulance shortage because all of their ambulances were in the emergency department waiting to offload patients. Some of them had been sitting there for 3+ hours. We immediately set in 25 additional ambulances to be able to help with the 911 calls, and over the night we worked with those hospital emergency rooms to send additional paramedics to those places so the Houston firefighters could get back out on the street and take the next 911 calls. As we're opening up this field medical hospital, it will be a decision between the hospital, the physician, and the patient of which one of those patients gets transferred to this step-down facility. It could be any of the hospitals in the CETRAC region that do that, and as of yesterday, there were about 29 of those hospitals that were on the internal disaster. So they could be coming from anywhere. It will depend on the physician and the patient sending and receiving physicians to make sure that those patients get to the right place.
One last question. And the decision not to send patients home without power, is that a state law or is that up to the hospital?
Up to the hospital.
That is up to the physician, the hospital, and the family. I mean, and listen, it's in the patient's best interest not to send them to a place that doesn't have power, that they can't keep their medications refrigerated. So that's why we provided this additional facility to be able to ease the burden on those hospitals right now that are overcrowded.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. For Matagorda, we talked about that a little earlier.
Ashley, we were not aware of any, I mean, by the sheer grace of God, I mean, we had very few injuries and no fatalities that we were aware of, but earlier, one of the JPs, Judge Sanders, had communicated that we have lost one person to heat-related, I don't, okay, it was a heat stroke. That is the only fatality related to the storm conditions that I'm aware of.
Statewide, that number can vary. I know there's one, for example, a person who died of a heart attack. They think maybe the home was hit by lightning, which was a result of the storm, so to categorize them, it's difficult, but most of the deaths did occur in the greater Houston-Harris County area, some drownings, carbon monoxide poisoning, that's why we talk about that. So the numbers, we don't know exactly because they can change, but it's somewhere in the range of 9, 10, or 11 total that we're aware of. And again, some may be categorized later, and someone will come back and say, well, they died because of the storm, but of specific drownings, and trees fell on 2 people and killed them. So but that information just comes to us out of 120 counties. Thank you all very much. Thank you all for everything you're doing, and we're here for you. Thank you.